right, for today's lesson, we are going to need a couple of supplies. So we're on page 30 of our journal. So let's start there. We're on page 30. You're going to need two different colors. It can be matte pencils or markers or pens. That's fine, but you're going to need two different colors. So if you need a pause to go grab those two colors, please do that at this time. So you need two colors. I'm going to be using orange and green if you want to match mine exactly. And if you have that graph paper that I recommended you buy, then you're going to need graph paper also. And I've already cut one of my grids, so I don't have to draw it. If you don't have graph paper or grid paper, you can come pick some up from the school for me, and I will put it up front. I can even leave it outside in a box so you don't even have to come into the school if that's what you want. If you have access to a printer, you can print some offline. Or the third thing is you can keep drawing your grid like we've been doing. Honestly, I think that's probably pretty hard. So hopefully you've either paused the video and grabbed two colors. But let's go ahead and get started. So this lesson is sometimes a little hard for students to grasp. Honestly, it shows up on STAR Test 1 question almost every year. And it's not one of those concepts that you're going to hear repeated over and over again. I'm not trying to say it's not important. I'm just saying it's not something that you're going to see in later grades necessarily. We're still dealing with slope, but this time we're going to be doing slope and similar triangles. Okay. So, first of all, I want us to talk about what similar means. This is a concept that you covered in 7th grade, whether you remember it or not. But there's three parts of the definition of similar. And the first thing is that they have to be the same shape. Same shape. And that means that they are both triangles. Next thing is they're going to have same angles. So I want you to draw a right triangle. And then we're going to draw a line anywhere you want down the middle like that. So what that has done is it's created two triangles. So here's my first triangle, which I'm doing in green. And my second triangle is this triangle. Okay. And so with that triangle, I can see that these two angles are the same, so we can say that's 30 degrees. And then I'm going to say this angle and this angle are both 60 degrees. And then I could say this angle and this angle are both 90, and we can see that they're both 90 degrees. But if I look at my orange, I have a 30, a 60, a 90. If I look at my green, I have a 30, a 60, a 90. And so they're going to have the same angles. And the third thing is that they're going to have proportional sides. Now, proportions are something you do a lot in 7th grade. And this is one of the only times you're going to see proportions in this grade. So we're going to draw again two right triangles. This time we're going to separate them. Trying to make them look as much alike as possible, being different sizes. Alright, so there's two right triangles. And I can say that this is a 3, 4, 5. And this is a 6, 8, 10. Now, someone asked this in class the other day when I was writing some numbers, so I think it's a good question. As they said, where are you getting these numbers from? I'm just making up these numbers so that we have we have things to talk about. I mean, sorry. I'm making up these numbers so we have an example to talk about. Sorry. So we're going to look at proportional sides. So this side corresponds to this side. I'll switch to blue because I dropped my green marker and it went rolling somewhere. I don't want to stop the video just to go hunt it down. Those sides are corresponding. I'm going to leave the other one as pencil. So if I do orange over orange, and blue over blue, and pencil over pencil, I can see that all three of those are equal to each other because they all equal 1/2. 5/10 is 1/2, 3/6 is 1/2, 4/8 is 1/2. So in order to be similar, just a recap from 7th grade, they have to both be the same shape, whether it's triangles or rectangles or trapezoids or whatever it is, but since we're looking at triangles, they have to have the same angles, and they have to have proportional sides. So this is where you're going to need your piece of grid paper. So I have my grid paper, and I'm going to give myself a X and Y axis. Now, if you need to draw your own grid, this is a great time to pause the video and draw your own grid. And you can draw it just right there. We're going to write off to the side over here. So draw your grid on this side is what I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and draw my grid and number my grid. Push play when you are done with yours. I'm going to pause my video so when it comes back, my grid will be done. Alright, so I had to go to a little bit bigger piece of grid paper because we do need it to go up to 8. I should have said that, I'm sorry. And that little piece was a little more. So if you need a pause to fix it, then please just make sure it goes up to at least 9. Alright, so we're going to plot some points. So I'm going to come to -1, 1 and plot a point. I'm going to come up to 3, 0 and plot a point. I'm going to go 1, 5 and plot a point. And 3, 9 and I'm going to plot a point. And then I am going to connect those points to make my line. I'm really hoping that you were able to get some graph paper, but if you're not, please let me know. I will get you some graph paper. I have tons of it actually. It won't cost me anything at all, but I think this is going to be a lot easier with some graph paper. Alright, so there's my line, and if you need a little more time, go ahead and pause it at this point and push play when you're done, because if not, it'll be an hour-long video. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this in. If you are drawing it, then yours should already be in, but if not, I'm going to glue mine a little bit to the left. I know we don't normally glue anything for my virtual learners, my in-class learners. They glue almost daily. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look, I'm going to say, this kind of makes, it does, sorry, not kind of, makes a triangle. So I'm going to take one of my markers and I'm going to outline that triangle. And then I can see that I have another one up here. There's actually more than that. I could look at this big triangle here. I could look at this one in the middle. Those are all some good options. So I have orange and blue is what I did. And so I'm going to put that, I'm going to find the slope of my two triangles here. Okay. So I'm going to put my, this is triangle 1, and this is triangle 2. So slope of number 1 is, so I rose 1, 2, 3, 4, and I ran 1, 2. So for triangle 1, my slope is 2. So I'm looking at this slope right here. And then I'll look at my slope of triangle number 2. So it rose 1, 2, ran 1, for a slope of 2 also. So no matter what, I'm going to get the same slope no matter what triangles, what 2 points I choose to look at. And we have talked about that. We can also look at it by looking at its points, which is actually how STAR Test does it. That's why we're going to look at it. So this point is -1, 1. This point right here is 0, 3. This point right here is 1, 5. And this point right here is 3, 9. So we're going to look, so this was using rise over run. So now let's use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is what we looked at on Friday. Okay, so I'm going to start with number 1. So my 2 points for number 1 are, actually I'm going to skip a line, sorry. I seem to be making a lot of mistakes. I'm so sorry, guys. 1, 5 and 3, 9 are the 2 points for me on my triangle number 1. Okay, hopefully you see that. So I'm going to do x and y. These are my 1s. X and y. These are my 2s. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 9. y1 is 5. x2 is 3. x1 is 1. And we get 4 over 2, which, if you notice, matches my rise and run. And we get a slope of 2. We're piecing it all together, and we're looking at how it all connects together. I hope you see that. So let's look at our number 2. Skip a couple lines, since I know I have to write above these points. So the first point was -1, 1. My second point was 0, 3. So x, y, x, y. These are my 1s. These are my 2s. So we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is 3, y1 is 1. x2 is 0, x1 is -1. 3 minus 1 is 2. Sorry guys, I'm really off. I had one change the sign. And 1, so I have a slope of 2. So again, you can see that our rise over our run matched it. Because it's going to. Our rise over run is the same as this y2 minus y1, x2 over x1. And so that's one of the connections I want you to make from doing this activity. But I also want you to make a connection that these are actually similar triangles. So if I look, they both have that 90-degree angle. We can see that. And they both have this angle right here, which I don't know what degree it is, but it's probably about 60. And then they both have this angle down here, which is probably 30, 20, somewhere around there. So they have the same angles. They're definitely the same shape. And then their sides are proportional. And we're not going to take a look at that part, but I can see that this is 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 over 4, which is 1/2. And this is 1 over 2, which is 1/2. So what the state of Texas wanted us to do by learning this is make the connections of these two formulas together, but also make the connections of I can form right triangles. And it doesn't matter what 2 points I choose. It's always going to work out to have the same slope because they are proportional. Because they are similar figures, they have to have proportional sides, which means those sides will always simplify to being the same slope. Okay? The other one we're going to look at, this is a little more difficult to put in our journal, but we're going to do it anyways. So my in-class students are going to get a picture. This is an old star question. So once you see how it showed up on stars, this is what it looks like. Yes, we are going to attempt to put that in our journal on the left side. Don't worry, we're going to work through it. All right, so again, if you have grid paper, you're going to want to do a grid. It is the only thing going on the left, so it needs to be probably a good 8 by 8 would be a good size. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it. If you need to draw, go ahead and draw your grid on that side. If not, go ahead and cut and number and label. I'm going to pause the video. So this isn't a 40-minute video. Alright, so there is my grid, my coordinate plane. Something I was thinking while I was numbering these, number the lines, not the spaces. I have students every year who get really confused with grids. Alright, so we're going to plot some points on this. So we're going to start with 2, -5. So go over to 2, down to -5, and put a dot. Then I'm going to plot the point -4, 3. So -4, 3. And then the last point I'm going to plot is -7, 7. -7, 7. I'm going to go ahead and connect those. I just use an index card. If you have a ruler, that makes a lot more sense. But my rulers are across the room, and I really don't want to get up and get it. So, all right. So we're going to label these points. So this is P, this is R, and this is T. Okay. If you need to spend a minute to catch up, pause and push play. The next point we're gonna plot is actually it might just be easier. Let's just draw the triangles. So here's one triangle. That was a horrible line. All right, there's my first triangle. And here is my second triangle. Okay. And this point, this corner is Q, and this corner is S. And if you have grid paper, go ahead and glue that in your journal. If you have drawn it, then it's already on there, and you can ignore the glue. Glue on my journal. Alright. So there's that. Yeah, it's a lot easier with graph paper, so I'm really hoping y'all got that. I don't really usually hear from y'all whether you got it or need it or anything like that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do colors with these again. I am very big on visually seeing it. In fact, before COVID, our journals had a lot more color in them than previous years. And because I believe that we learn when we see colors, I think we learn when we visually see it. I also think those of you at home are learning from drawing these. You're learning quite a bit, which is nice. You're getting some practice and some things you need. Alright, so I'm going to look at these points. So this is on my line. So P was -7, 7. R is -4, 3. And T is the point 2, -5. to start with triangle number 1. All right, so here's triangle number 1. And we're going to use the y2, y1 formula because that's the one, if you look at my answer choices, and I know I did send this to y'all if you can print it, but you'll see that this looks like hot chaos of a mess. But if you see, I can see the y2, y1 points. The question's written as, what proportion can be used to show that the slope is equal to the other slope? So I know I'm looking at P to R and RT. So my first one says to do P to R. So I'm doing -7, 7. And -4, 3. Those are both with that first triangle. I'm so sorry, I'm zoomed in too much. I can't see that. All right, so let's just work it. So X and Y, X and Y. These are my 1s, these are my 2s. Y2 minus Y1, X2 minus X1. So Y2 is, let's do it under it, 3 minus 7. And then X2 was -4 minus -7. I'm actually going to leave it there. And I'm going to show you why I'm going to leave it there. Because if I look at my answer choices, you can see it left it in plugged in form. Okay? All right, so let's leave it like that also. Sometimes when we're working out problems for STAAR tests, we got to pay attention to how the problem is wanting us to answer it. So I want that to be equal to the slope of number 2. So here's number 2. Triangle number 2. And its points are, let's see, -4, +3, sorry. I'm telling y'all I'm having an off day on this video. All right, so X, Y, these are both 1s. X, Y, these are both 2s. So we have Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. So my Y2 was -5 minus my Y1, which was 3. X2 is 2 minus X1, which is -4. And again, I'm going to keep it like this. So this is what I'm going to look at. If I look at this again, here are my answer choices. So if I look at my answer choices compared to what I get, this is where we're going to play a little matching game. Which one that looks the same? So I have 3 minus 7, 3 minus 7, -4 minus -7, -5 minus 3, and 2 minus -4, which happens to match F. I'm going to write out here to the side that this was letter F, just in case on a journal test I ask what answer choice it was. Now I know this is a little bit difficult because you don't have all the answer choices. And this is actually one of those concepts that really confuses students sometimes, but it does show up on STAAR. So just to recap real quick, because we already are on a really long video, we are looking at slope and comparing the slope of 2 similar triangles to see that they have the same slope. It proves that no matter what 2 points I choose on a line, they will always give me the same slope, no matter what 2 points I choose. All right. As always, if you have questions, if you need grid paper, whatever you need, please, 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 please send me emails, text messages. I don't care. Let me know, all right? Y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow.